some of the other entities to create maybe a larger trail access into that part of the ledges. In addition to the schematic design in the board packet, I did put together some initial costs on what we'd be looking at. Again, this is based on what we do for all of our projects. Again, this is very much at a schematic level. This does not include any kind of acquisition of a conservation easement or any kind of property, and it's based on kind of right now today. So again, you know, if something is a few years down the road, prices can change. But overall, we're roughly at about $800,000 for what we kind of have shown in the schematic plan. And again, that's without any kind of acquisition or easement on the neighboring property. So.
It does, by looking at this map, it doesn't look like there's any connectivity to the Thompson Ford Park area.
No, unfortunately, you know, the property's kind of cut off by the neighboring property, so it does limit the ability to connect directly into it.
Who owns all that? It doesn't look like there's any development there.
I believe it's the business next door, and I can't think of the name of it. Do you know?
It's Chris Hemley, Hemley Tool.
So it's really, Pat, this sort of north part of the property is all wetland, and that's where I don't know, Paul, realistically, you know, I don't, long-term, they may be open to an easement, because I don't know really.
Yeah, I mean, the gentleman that came a couple park board meetings ago that spoke something about, he had conversations with him about that, you know, that section we're talking about, he was open to a conservation. It is all wetland. You're not going to, I don't think the landowner would have a whole lot of options for that part of the property. It's very wet. It's underwater most of the years. He might be pretty much.
So what you're saying is this land is so wet that even if we were to get an easement, as you were saying, it's still not going to be accessible?
It would be more, the only way we could really do a trail through it would be some kind of boardwalk approach, which this is kind of a larger boardwalk we have through kind of an area out of Clarendon Woodland, so that would be really the only feasible way to create kind of access through it, just because of, you know, impact on the ecosystem and that. We want to do something more along a boardwalk versus a aggregate trail.
Matt, is the Thompson Park Board agreed to some kind of joint agreement on how to operate their park versus, you know, we put this investment here and they go off somewhere else with a different philosophy?
I think at this point, from the conversations we've had internally, I know they came to the board maybe in November and, you know, talked about this parcel. John asked Paul and I to look into it and kind of come up with kind of what we saw, big picture on maybe how it would fit into kind of a larger open space network. I think at this point we're looking for direction on whether we want to continue to maybe have conversations with Thompson and even explore conversations with private landowners.
We're talking about $800,000 for a 1 acre plot?
That would just be the capital investment, so that's where, again, it's a substantial investment just to, you know, develop it into a trailhead. So that's where, again, you know, we have a lot of other priorities off of kind of our long-term capital plan, but again, it was just presenting this to see kind of your feedback on, you know, is it something we would like to pursue or where we're at.
I think the ledges is, as you're saying, is a totally unique area, but without access to it, it's just, you know, if you wanted to go see that, you drive into their park and park there, and you're not gonna park at this library.
Yeah, we were just looking at, I know this parcel was the one that was brought to us in November, so.
Yeah, it was brought to us by Erwin Level, the township trustee, so as you know, we wanted to entertain it. If we were to pursue it, I would circle back to Erwin, request a meeting with the Thompson Park Board to see if they're willing to consider a trail easement into their property, and also engage Mr. Chris Henley to see if he is still willing to consider a easement. If neither are, then I don't believe it's worth us pursuing.
But your estimate doesn't include a boardwalk.
No, the boardwalk is included there. So yeah, the boardwalk, all the kind of improvements I'm showing on the schematic plan, even the steps down are included in that initial estimate of probable cost.
To the Thompson Park.
That would be, so when Paul and I were out there, the ledges, Paul, kind of extend up into this area, and there's no trails or anything in this northern part. The Thompson ledges are kind of south of Thompson Road here, so this is the area where you can get in and sort of hike their existing trail system. This would be kind of the new area where they have the property, but I don't believe there's any access.
But in the 800,000, you include a trail.
Steps, boardwalk, the parking area, the picnic shelters, all that's included in the $800,000 estimate.
I think it's worth,
That's more than an acre.
well, that's over on somebody else's property, though, the boardwalk, the stairs.
Yeah, so out of the actual, so, and we'd be looking at, it's close to maybe about 0.9 miles of trail system. So between the boardwalk, the steps, and the trails, that's roughly about half of that 800,000. So just the parking, the picnic shelter on that parcel would be roughly half of that cost.
And we do not have a park at Thompson at this time.
So that is the one thing that we do not have a park. It's the only township that we do not have any property in.
So I would be willing to support going back to them and seeing how they can, but we need access to the really unique area that interests people.
I envision this, if they are willing to work with us and they would grant those easements, it's a longer-term project. There is not a placeholder in the capital plan for those funds. We wanted to present it as a concept, so that may mean something like a grant application. So we just wanted to present it to you and see, as you just said, Pat, if you'd like us to engage Thompson, and we can go from there. See if they're willing to pursue the conservation easements, the trail easements.
Want to make a motion?
Okay. We don't necessarily need a motion at this time, so we'll simply engage them, and Matt and I will engage them.
Okay.
Go from there. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. All right, next item is our monthly discussion on fiscal and finance through our work sessions.
Is there any update on the Wadsworth property before we go over?
There is not. I've been waiting to hear from his council, which is separate council also through Thrasher, Dinsmore, Dolan. I got that, so, yeah. I'll check. Thanks. All right, Jen, you're up.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As I discussed at last month's meeting, we're going to, for me as a new finance person and new board members and newish board members, I thought it'd be a good idea to take some time each month to talk about various financial and fiscal topics for the district. So I included a calendar for the rest of the year. Today, we're going to talk about the new financial report and the 2021 financial statement and notes that was put together when we closed the year using our new financial system, UAN. Then next month in March, go into detail of the various revenues that the park collects. And then in April, the expenditures. Our purchasing in June, then the all-important tax budget in July. That will need to be approved before sending that to the county. Then banking investments, September, we'll talk about the audit process and various compliance. October, personnel and payroll. November, introduction of the appropriations for the budget that the board will need to approve before year end. And then that might carry over into December, but also talk about asset management, fixed assets, and how do we track our fixed assets. and our larger items. So this is my suggestion. If there's anything that the board would like to move around or add or talk about, please let me know, or we can discuss that now. Not hearing anything, I just wanted to go over the two items that are included in the board packet. The first is the new format for the monthly financial report.